Hi, thanks for joining me. Here we are. Actually, I should count through how many I'm up to now, just to keep tabs on where I'm at. Because at the start of the year, I said that I'd like to go live once a week. And that's what happens when you've got your YouTube page open and you're also streaming. If you are watching live in the chat, drop a comment if you can. Otherwise, give this video a like, maybe even subscribe to my channel. What I was saying was, at the start of the year, I said I'd like to do this once a week, and I've managed to go live almost 2 times a week since the start of the year, just as a way to practice. It hasn't been easy, though. Sometimes I really don't know what to come on and talk about, even though there are a bunch of great questions. I think it really does change how, what am I trying to say? Conversations I have that day change whether or not I'm feeling motivated to talk about something in particular or not. And often I like to take conversations that are fresh from coaching classes in the morning and bring them into this conversation with more detail. So sometimes I come on here and I am jumping around all over the place, wondering what is it going to be about today. So I popped a bunch of, every time you see me do that face, it's because I realize that I go and I don't like it. And so that's me acknowledging that I do that and that it annoys me now. So hopefully it's not one of those things that I've made you aware of and now it annoys you too. Let me share this screen. I put a few questions in the show notes today because I really wasn't sure what would inspire me. When I put this together a couple of hours ago, I thought, what am I going to want to talk about today? I actually pulled one question from Jeff, which reminded me that Jeff commented on the show last week. The show that I did that I titled High Rocks Racing is Letting You Down. Go back and listen to that if you haven't. Go and give me a thumbs up on it. If you're watching the stream, you'll have seen that there. The conversation there was just about high rocks and standards and whether that race is a good thing for your longevity and your fitness journey, or whether it is letting you down in terms of what I see fitness for, which, while racing is exciting and a way to keep you engaged in what you're doing, longevity is probably more how I see the CrossFit space and the benefits that you can get from performing CrossFit. Jeff's comments and questions. So again, the topic was about high rocks last week, was discussing those wall ball standards. Nice long response from Jeff. Like, he listened to the whole thing and then he responded to each part as he was thinking about things. So I really appreciate the time you took there, Jeff, to write all of that out. In summary, Jeff said, as a CrossFitter who now trains at a functional fitness gym, and he dabbles in fitness racing, I know that he's done at least one high rocks, if not more than that. Flick's definitely done a couple. I know that for sure. There's just comments in here, though, in regards to the high rocks race being measurable and repeatable, which is exactly what CrossFit is all about. You want to be able to observe what you did, measure what you did, and then repeat what you did to see whether or not you had improvements. So when you are held to standards, that is what is observable, measurable, and repeatable. So I like that as a comment there. I agree with that, Jeff. I think that the high rocks race itself is kind of like a hero workout, something that you could do and then come back to in the future again and retest it to see where your fitness is at. I don't necessarily think that you need to train specifically for high rocks to be able to see an improvement in it. I think just time with fitness would allow for increasing capacity in something like high rocks. In the same way you might do a hero workout at a CrossFit gym, you don't necessarily train specifically for the hero workout, but if you have been improving generally in your fitness and your skill and your ability across time, then you will likely see improvements in your scores for those hero workouts. Jeff goes on to just talk about how it is a lot of running and you do need to do a little bit of extra running if that's not something that's already included there, and comments that it's probably closer to 10 to 11 kilometers of running because you run through the rock zone, even though it's not technically counted as that running distance. At the end of the day, though, the High Rocks race is, people who are training for that are training specifically for High Rocks. So it's probably important to, I was going to say remember, but for a lot of people, maybe just clarify in terms of CrossFit, that is a general physical preparedness, so general fitness program. It's not designed to be a specific program. If you are, what would an example be? If you're a swimmer, you would train swimming. That would be specific for your sport. You need a base of fitness to be a good swimmer, as well as the ability to swim. And CrossFit has the potential to take your base of fitness from where it is to a higher level so that you are even better at your specific sport. CrossFit never claims to replace specificity in sport training. It is that base of fitness that it develops in you that allows you to be better at your sport over time. So sometimes you'll see people say, well, CrossFitters aren't fast runners or CrossFitters can't lift the heaviest. And that's because CrossFitters aren't training to be the best at one specific thing. They're training to be well-rounded at many things. So that's that general physical preparedness that comes with that. Considering Jeff's comment, it pushed me kind of towards his question from previous, and I thought I'd just discuss that here today. If you have any follow-up questions, though, and that not just Jeff, anybody that might be listening and you want to throw them in the chat, I'm more than happy to answer them in the future, or if you're listening live, to answer them here for you live. Let me see if I can put this whole question into a comment so I can pull it up. See what happens. Might be too long. Oh yeah, it's come in two parts. Okay, so question from Jeff. Now that you've been in the CrossFit space for over a decade, with all of your experience and knowledge, what would you go back and tell 2012 Yelana? What she should not worry about, what to prioritize, and what should be non-negotiable everyday practices? This could also be for those new to CrossFit or those who have been doing it for a long time. Not sure what that last little bit meant, so I'll just leave it as that. So to summarize that, looking back, what would I tell myself 14 years ago about what to worry about and what to not worry about? I guess for me, if I'm reflecting back on myself, I would, I should have put more thought into this before I pulled it up. Just keep turning up consistently. So even though you go through ebbs and flows of your fitness, you are consistently getting better. Even if there was a peak at one point and you've dropped back from that, you're still significantly more fit. I feel I'm still significantly more fit than what I was when I first started. Some things tend to fall off a little bit based off injuries or focuses at points. But I would say I would go back to 2012 and tell myself, just keep showing up and you will continue to improve. If I was to be really hard on myself, things that I haven't obtained yet, that I would go back and tell myself to do, work on your tricep strength more, work on your strict pressing strength more so that you could do strict handstand push-ups. And I say could do because currently with this bad boy, it's not possible to get there. And so maybe I could look back at that and regret that I didn't put more effort into that. But I would also look back on that and say at the time it wasn't It wasn't really a priority for me to get that. I was happy learning all of the other stuff, happy gaining other skills in that area. So in terms of what I'd go back and tell myself, just keep showing up. The consistency is the thing that's going to increase your fitness over time. And maybe, just maybe, and again, this depends because it also comes down to what you're interested in. I used to play team sports and then I stopped playing team sports because it seemed like it was taking away a lot of my time. Sometimes it's hard to allocate Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays to something that maybe you don't feel fully committed to. So I stopped playing team sport at one point. And now when I look back at that, I think, is there a way I could have maintained that in my life going forward or consistently so that it didn't feel like a big step to potentially go back into it now? That would probably be the other thing. So keep playing team sports while you're training your CrossFit, because at the end of the day, the whole point of training for your fitness in the CrossFit space is to be better at the other things that you do. And that could be netball, football, basketball, soccer, whatever it might be. Hello, Matt. I'm a bit late on board today. That's okay. You could argue that I'm a bit late on board today too. I had some time this afternoon at 4:30, so I decided to push it back a bit later. But thanks for joining. Thanks for the comment. The second half of Jeff's question: what should be a non-negotiable everyday practices? I still think just showing up to a CrossFit gym every day, group classes every day, even if you don't feel like it, still gets you moving in the right direction, which would be in the forward direction for your fitness goals. If you're new to CrossFit, gosh, this has changed a lot since 2012. I wonder, I doubt it, but if you happen to be watching this or listening back to this and you are someone that did CrossFit over 6 years ago and you haven't done it since, I would encourage you to try it again. There's a lot that I think personally has changed in CrossFit in terms of the understanding of how to scale better. Once upon a time, you would turn up to CrossFit and it was RX or die, and there wasn't a lot of guidance. And I guess it depends what gym you're at as well, but quite regularly it was like, here's the workout, work it out yourself. What are you going to do? And not a lot of guidance in the way of, I'm injured, how should I adjust this? Or I don't have these skills, how should I adjust this? Or even just, hey, I haven't exercised in 5+ years. I'm coming back into it. How do I start in a way that will allow me to consistently come back each day so I can start rebuilding my foundations of my fitness? So if anyone happens to be listening to this that hasn't been in the CrossFit space for a while, I'd encourage you to come back and try it, especially if you haven't been in the fitness space at all. I quite regularly have the conversation with people about how I just think that, particularly if you're someone who hasn't trained in a long time, or maybe you're of older age and you think that your fitness journey is over or you couldn't possibly do CrossFit, there is a lot to be gained from a very simple amount of movement, particularly if you're not doing much at the moment. And what I mean by that is just a couple of examples. Like, we've had people start at the gym who had commented that, say, getting down to the bottom cupboard in the kitchen or the lounge room or wherever the cupboard might be in the hallway. Where do people have their cupboards? I don't know. Getting down, the idea of getting down into the bottom shelf of those cupboards was like, made them nervous. Am I going to be able to get up from here with whatever I'm getting out of it? And then within the space of 12 months, having those people turn around and say, I don't even think about that as an issue anymore. Like, it's not even a thought that crosses my mind, just because of all of the functional stuff that we have done at the gym at this point. Even seeing people, again, I guess I'll just continue to harp on this. Maybe I should just call this the Why Don't You Squat to Depth channel. People who can't get below parallel in their squat when they first start, who gain that mobility through just consistent repetition, working towards that over and over again over the space of 12 months. And it's so rewarding for them, but it changes their life. Like, imagine not having to think about whether or not you can get off a seat somewhere or whether you can get on or off a toilet somewhere. I just think that people think that it's harder to gain the fitness that they need in their day-to-day life than it actually is. I did it again. Hopefully you guys don't notice that. Anyway, I titled this one, Why You Should Sign Up for the Open. Again, another discussion we were having this morning. Sometimes I wonder, people that have been in CrossFit for so long, why do they choose not to do the CrossFit Open? I wonder whether it, for lack of a better term, is an ego thing. Like, in their mind, they're not as fit as they once were, so they don't want to sign up to the Open and be put on a public leaderboard for people to see that, I don't know, they didn't do as well as they expected to do, even though no one had any expectation on them other than just doing what they can in that moment. And I think it's an interesting thought to have. I heard someone commented similar in this way, and I thought, I really like that, and I'm going to try and relate that back to anyone that I have the opportunity to tell. There is a big difference between training alone and training in the group setting in terms of the intensity you can get and the effort that you will put in, knowing that there are other people around you to kind of help motivate you, keep you accountable, even push you if you're all appropriately paced in a workout. And I think the Open allows you an opportunity to get outside of your comfort zone in a similar way, where you might push the intensity more than you normally do, even in class. And also because it allows you the opportunity to do something that you may never have done before. And what I mean by that is, when it comes to the CrossFit Open, even though there are 3 types of workouts, so there's the RX version of the workout, a scaled version, and the foundations version, it is set in stone. You either do the RX workout, so as prescribed, you do this scaled version as it's written, as prescribed, or you do the foundations version as prescribed. And people need to make a choice there. Do I have the RX movements? Yes, that means that I might not get far through this workout, but I'm going to have a go. Do I not have the RX movements? No. Okay, well, then I need to do a scaled version. And then do I have any of the movements that are required? No. Well, in that case, I'm so new to these movements that I'm going to do the foundations version. Unlike in class, the workout might be listed on the board and you can kind of chop and change things where you like. So it might be 3 movements in a workout and you get to scale 2 of them and keep one of them as it was written. When it comes to the Open, it is what it is. It is do this workout exactly as it's written, and let's see where your fitness stacks up against the world. But really, you're competing against yourself. 3, 2, 1, go. You're on that RX version of the workout. You have to challenge yourself to things you might not normally do. And you do exactly the same workout as a whole list of other people so that you can actually see where your fitness ranks across the world. And again, it's not a big deal. No one's looking at it like, oh, you came 20,000th in that workout. They're looking at it like, in person, in the affiliate, we're watching you. Did you put in the effort that you expected you should put in? Did you achieve something that you thought was not possible? And did you do it in a fun environment with a group of people that you'll have that memory for forever? So I think in terms of why you should sign up for the Open, don't you want to do hard things? Isn't that why we train regularly? Don't you want to test your fitness? Particularly if you're someone that's going to turn up and do the workouts anyway, what's the harm in signing up to the worldwide leaderboard and putting your score out there? What are you worried about? What's your concern? As I was saying earlier, fitness isn't linear progression. So you have ups and downs in your fitness. You can see that in my scores from the past years of the Open. up, down, up, down, up, down. The year I had my back injury, I think I did 1 rep of something. So you can see that year in my scores as to where my fitness was in that moment. Why was my fitness low that year? I'd overtrained and ended up not recovering well enough and hurting my back to a point where I couldn't walk. 100 meters of walking caused me so much pain. And that is reflective of where my fitness was that year. This year, the same thing will apply. There will be things that I cannot do in the open this year, I'm sure of it. But I have my fingers crossed that there will be at least 1 workout out of the 3 that I actually can perform, or at least attempt to perform scaled, where even with a wrist that does not bend, I can still perform the movements that are prescribed. And that will be reflective of my fitness in that moment too. When the 3 weeks of the open is done, I will sit on a leaderboard exactly where I am meant to be reflected at the end of the open. And it just tells a story over time of where my fitness has or has not been at any given time due to various different reasons. So I think that if you've been in the CrossFit space for a while, it would be a shame not to sign up to the open, because it is just a reflection of your journey, your fitness journey in life and what it's doing. It's not going to constantly just go up, 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 up. But if you're new to CrossFit, I think it's also really important for you to sign up to the open, because it is an experience that you won't regret. I'm not going to say you're not going to be worried about it. You certainly might be anxious in the lead up to it. You might be anxious right before that buzzer goes, and then you might be worried while you're doing it. But at the end of the workout, I don't think anyone has ever said, I regret signing up for the open. So that's why I think you should sign up for the open. That and just the accountability of putting yourself out there on the leaderboard. Again, no one cares. It's like putting your goals out there for the year. Telling people what your goals are at the start of the year and achieving them is great. Telling people what your goals are at the start of the year and failing to achieve them tells you something. Did I even try? Why didn't I try if that's the case? And worst case scenario, if you failed, what's the biggest thing that happens? No one hates you for it. Maybe you hate yourself, and maybe that's a reflection of, maybe that's a strong word. Maybe you don't like what you did, and that's a reflection on how you attack your goals in the future. So I think that if you haven't signed up for the open, you should. If you have signed up for the open, well done. Maybe write that in the comments for me. If you can get in even if it's not the live chat, but if you're listening afterwards and say, just comment on this feed and let me know if you have signed up to the open this year and where you might be doing the open if it's not at CrossFit Dauntless. Outside of that, quiet in the chat today. No questions from anybody, I guess because I'm talking about the open, so you don't really have questions per se about that. I might leave it there then. Oh, the only other thing is, and this is only exciting for people that have been around CrossFit for a long time, but today is the 25th anniversary of CrossFit programming online. So on the 10th of February 2001, the first CrossFit.com workout was put up on the CrossFit.com website 25 years ago. Let me share this screen so you can all see it. Share this tab instead. Where is it? All right. So if you are not watching and you're just listening on, today's workout, like today, 2026, is the first workout that was programmed on CrossFit.com 25 years ago. Fast and heavy. Now, back then, 25 years ago, I'm not going to say it like that, actually. I'll start again. 25 years ago, this workout, the first one programmed on .com, was 4-time, 400-meter run, 21 dumbbell thrusters, 400-meter run, 18 dumbbell thrusters, 400-meter run, 15 dumbbell thrusters. It says use 2 dumbbells, and there is no weight prescribed. Now, back then it was prescribed as choose a weight that is challenging, but that you can move through at pace, so with intensity 4. It says at the bottom there, compare to the 10th of February 2001, American, so it's back to front. 2001, February 10. Stimulus and strategy. This is the first workout ever posted on CrossFit.com. I just think it's crazy because it's 25 years ago, and sometimes people say CrossFit is too expensive. However, there has been free workouts programmed on CrossFit.com for 25 years. So if you've got access to the internet, if you've got a phone, you have the ability to at least see these workouts and then do some version of them. Just as it was posted back in 2001, there's no weight listed for the dumbbell thrusters. Instead, the instructions were to use a heavy weight and move as fast as possible. 25 years later, this workout is still a bear, and it is a potent dose of fitness. Choose a weight for the dumbbells so you can complete your thrusters in 3 sets or fewer and push the pace on each run. Then, because it's 2026, there's now an intermediate option, which is the same as RX today, and a beginner option, which if you are not looking on, just has a reduction in distance for the run, so 200 meters instead of 4, and a reduction in reps for the dumbbell thrusters. So instead of going 21, 18, 15, goes 15, 12, 9. So it's probably important to remember, this is what I mean about, like, at least 6 years ago, there were things have changed with CrossFit where now there are intermediate and beginner options available, so that if you're brand new to it or you don't have a coach to help you through the best way to attack a workout, it gives you a bit of guidance. And so with that beginner option, it would also, actually it probably is listed down here somewhere. No, not quite. There are quite regularly options for if you're injured. So as an example, if you cannot run, sub-run for 800 meter bike erg, 1.2-ish kilometer echo bike. If you can't squat, it might just say push press instead with the dumbbells. If you can't push press, it might say front squat only with the dumbbells. Doesn't say that today, but I think that's just to stick with history more than it is anything else. But quite regularly there are options for ways to adjust the workout. I've read them somewhere. I don't know where they are right now for this. Maybe I have to click into it further. Anyway, I thought that was pretty exciting. I don't know if anyone cares that it's been 25 years since the first workout went up, but that's that. And this is how people used before there was SugarWOD and Fitbox and Wodify and Beyond the Whiteboard. People just used to comment, like a blog post comment on the workout of the day. So you can already see in here, female 33, 68 kilos, 10 kilo dumbbells used, time of 12 minutes and 5 seconds. 22:30 at 50-pound dumbbells, all I have, heavy, 500 meter row sub for run, broken into sets of 5, 5, 3, 3 for 21s, all rest in 5. So these are people making comment about their workout, the time they completed their workout in. Now that CrossFit is in the CrossFit app, there's probably a little bit more detail in there too, maybe even some more comments. I'd be interested to know. So I'm just going to keep you on if you can be bothered still listening. I'm just opening the app up. I'm not sure how to share it on here because it's on my phone. Oh, I think they might be the same comments. It's interesting. They are. How very interesting. All right. So the app and the web browser are the same thing. Anyway, if you'd like me to break this workout down, I'll just encourage you to continue listening. Otherwise, you can drop off now because if you don't want to hear me break down this workout. But if this was programmed at the gym, 4-time 400 meter run, 21 thrusters, 400 meter run, 18 thrusters, 400 meter run, 15 thrusters, using the guidance that was provided where the thrusters should be heavy, but you should be able to move with them, and they should be in 3 sets or less. Running should be around, and again, it depends because there's no time cap on .com here, but let's say 2 minutes for your run. what would I guess here? 21 thrusters if you're going heavy and doing them in 3 sets, 3 lots of 7. Maybe you can do them every 30 seconds. So that's a minute and a half. So we're 3.5 minutes in, another run, 5.5 minutes in, another 3 sets of thrusters, 6, 7 minutes in, another 2-minute run, 9 minutes in, plus another set of thrusters. Maybe this is a sub 12 workout, or that should be the target time for it. Now, if you're quite advanced, the runs are obviously going to be faster, but because there's no weight prescribed, the idea would be that you would go heavier on your dumbbells. So the standard weight that we see in the CrossFit space these days is 22.5 kilo dumbbells for the guys, 15 kilo dumbbells for the ladies, 2 dumbbells for these particular thrusters. So if you know you can run fast and those weights are light enough for you that you could go unbroken on your 21, 18, 15, you should go heavier for this workout. If you are someone that's not sure about those weights, then the goal would be to maintain those 3 sets. Do a little bit of primer work prior to that starting, where you see if you can hold a set of 10 with those dumbbells. If you can manage a set of 10, it's challenging but doable. That's probably appropriate weight for you. If you get to about 6 or 7 reps in and you're starting to feel like you're failing with those dumbbells in a primer set, then it's probably just a touch too heavy for the workout. Anyway, that would be my advice there. 25 years of CrossFit.com. That was the first workout that was programmed. There is a way, I think, that you can go back in time and filter through them all in the past. I won't bother trying to work out how to do that with you. I'll just say thanks for spending your time listening to me if you did. As always, if you've got questions about training or nutrition, let me know. I find it much easier to talk through things that might be useful for other people than I do just talking randomly about things that maybe might interest me but nobody else. If you're still listening, we'll see. If you're still listening and you'd be interested in going through the level 1 or the level 2 training guide on some of these chats, I'd be interested to know that too. I don't know if that's something that only I would be interested in, or whether there would be more people out there that would be interested in having a reason to potentially read a couple of pages and then discuss them live or not live. I'm going to leave it there. I think that will do. We can tick that off for this week. Thanks for joining me. Like and subscribe. Leave a comment. I appreciate it all. Even if you're only on here listening for a minute or so, I still thank you for taking the time to even just have a look. Cool. Bye.